Yo everyone, welcome to Amps, Pedal and Pickups. My name is Nathan, and today we're going to be checking out the brand new STL AmpHub update with the Dual Dark 50. Now in the real world, the Dual Dark 50 is a 2-channel 50-watt amplifier, and the first channel has an attenuator, so if you want to play at bedroom levels, you can crank that volume, simmer things down with the attenuator. You have a full tone stack there with bass, mid, and treble and all that, but then you also have a secondary channel, which is just controlled by a shape knob, so sort of like a contour thing where it sort of shapes the mids. It's great for a secondary channel. We're going to take a look at how all of this stuff works, but why don't I just drop you into a mix for a little tune that I knocked up for this video to show off everything this amp can do. Alright, so how's all that sounding? Make sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Everything helps. I've been listening to heaps of counterparts and Samson lately. So for this demo here, I want to do something very drum heavy, very high gain tones, and this amp sim definitely delivered. Alright, so just pull up the amp sim. Let's take a look at everything. All the settings should be on noon. I have no stomp boxes engaged, but I've got them all ready to go. For the cab section, I'm using the STL cabs here for this one. And I just went into the orange section, and I'm not too much of a mic genius here, but I just pulled up the 421 on this side, 441 on that side. Honestly, I just wanted to make one bright, one dark, mix things in the middle, make sure it all sounds good. And this is where I've landed. So everything is purposefully on noon. All right, so I'm going to expect this amp to be pretty dark as is. Now I've got the gain up, straight up at noon. The volume's pretty low. We can probably nudge that up a little bit. I've got the attenuator off. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. Tone stack all the way at noon. We're just dealing with this A channel here. We'll go to the B channel a little bit later. No pedals engaged. Let's take a listen. So a little bit lifeless. Let's crank up the gain. Very tubby, very bass heavy. I expect that from these sorts of amps. Take some of this bass down. In fact, before we go attacking the bass, let's just play with this gain a little bit. You can hear there's a point around there where if you add too much gain, it just starts to get really, really hissy. So I'm going to turn on one of the stomp pedals just to get us going. We'll mess around with all these three, but let's just go with the SD one later. Just all I'm doing is giving it a bit of volume. I don't want to add any distortion yet. We'll just see how things come out. See, that cleans up a little bit of the bottom end as well. That's why I didn't want to go too savage, taking away the bass. So I'm going to leave that as is. I will just give it a little bit more gain. Already in a pretty decent place. Let's mess with the mids. Scooping the mids on an orange is just like this weird affair. Might sound decent at a glance, but I swear with oranges, I always find myself nudging them up, which is like counterintuitive. Sounding pretty good. I want to go a little bit OTT on that. That is sounding pretty good. All right, I've just taken the SD1, the level all the way up. I did push the gain, not quite to the top, but what's that, 8.5 out of 10. That's what it's sounding like now. while I have everything sounding like this, let's change out the stomp box and see how that sounds. So let's just match the settings a little bit. Let's just dial that in. So no drive, tone pot in the middle. So I think I like the TubeScreamer a little bit more. They're very, very close to each other. The TC Preamp is fundamentally a little bit different. I don't want to drive it all the way because this thing is quite a savage pedal. I have rolled off some of the bass though. Let's have a listen. All right, slightly different vibe. Let's have one last listen. I had to feather things in a little bit. And the TubeScreamer. TubeScreamer sounds a little bit more controlled. TC a little bit more gnarly. I'll take the volume down a little bit. And finally, back to the SD1. Tons of options there, but let's just leave it on the TubeScreamer for now. All right, so this is that A channel. You can see you got all the full controls there. If we flick over to the B channel, we still have the TubeScreamer engaged. Let's have a listen to this. So that gain was actually pretty gained out there. Let's bring it down a little bit. Man, it sounds like there's more gain on this B channel. It's crazy. I never noticed that before. Man, that's awesome. But the thing with this channel is you've just got a shape knob here. So it's just at default now. And it just works like a contour. If you're staring at like an EQ plane, one way takes the EQ like that and the other sort of does that. So it's almost like a secondary channel, if you will. So that's like fully hollowed out, and then we'll do the reverse. It's like an idiot-proof channel here. You really don't have to do much. Just get your IR right, get your stomp box right, change that shape knob to taste, and you're good to go for that secondary channel. Not much else there with that channel B. It's pretty straightforward stuff there. But the last thing to talk about is the attenuator. Now, most people know that with a power amp, if you want those sort of like crunchy tones, the more you sort of crank it, you get those power tubes going. But obviously if you crank it, you just like can't listen to things in the real world. So you need some sort of attenuation, whether it's like a Marshall power soak that people used to use back in the day, some kind of attenuator. I know a lot of people these days use LoadBoxes. Some of them even have attenuators. But this amp has an attenuator built in. So if you did want to crank the power amp in the real world, you would obviously crank it, and then you would crank the attenuation to bring that volume down. Then you'd have your power amp going, but you'd be attenuated so you could actually hear things at bedroom levels or at band practice. So they've modeled that here with this one. Let's take a listen. So I have attenuated it. You know what? I'll take it off for a second. It's hard to match the levels 100%, but let's try. Let's get this volume fully cranked. So it's roughly the same level. Then let's take the attenuation off. Now, once again, I don't have like the scientific understanding of like diode clipping and all that sort of stuff. I just know the fundamentals of what's going on here. It's definitely something to play around with. I personally don't mess with the attenuation too much. I might just bring it up a little bit, get a little bit of that volume cranking. Usually I'll do something in this realm if the sound I like doesn't have enough thickness, and then I'll maybe work those power tubes a little bit more and bring it down with attenuation. But since it's an Orange amp, any like Orange or Marshall amp, you really have no problem, or even a Messer, you have no problem getting that low end going. If anything, you want to get rid of that low end, especially for the sorts of tones that I go for, more modern metal tones or punk tones. We sort of want to take that bottom end away. So cranking the power amp to attenuate it is only going to bring more of that back. So it's not really something that I'd go for. If you wanted a more like AC/DC crunch tone, I think that, you could play around with that, get that amp really sizzling. That's sort of what that would be for. So I don't use it too much. I use a little bit of it there just to give it a bit of mojo, a bit of spice. So that kind of tone is really ripping and soaring as is. We'll take it back to the A channel. Could use a little bit of power there. This is a Balaguer Woodman BB in drop C. I just did a review for this guitar. I'll leave a link to it up there. So this is in drop C. Why don't we listen to a guitar in drop A sharp and hear how it goes for a full metal machine sort of amp. All right, so just grab the EC-1000. This is in drop A sharp with bare knuckle aftermaths in here. The exact same patch. All I did, if you were an astute viewer, down the input section, I just ran through the little automatic thing it does. It determined this guitar is a lot hotter than the other one. Let's take a listen to this same patch with a different guitar. All right, so just got the TC Preamp pedal dialed in. Same amp, same IR and everything. Let's take a listen to it. While we're out here doing some guitar swaps, I picked up the Les Paul Custom in E standard. We've got some bare knuckle Black Hawks here. I just did the input calibration there, very similar to the other one. I guess both the bare knuckle pickups sort of come up the same. But man, so the exact same patch, TC Preamp, same amp, same IR and everything. I'm going to go back to the SD1, keep things a little bit tamer. I might even just roll that down. Let's take this amp back to a normal sort of like non-high gain place. So that's how I landed on everything. I'm cranking the attenuator, absolutely cranking the volume there. Brought a little bit of bass back in, still got the SD1 going on those settings, added in a little bit of distortion there. I thought that sort of helped dirty things up. So let's take a listen to how this is sounding. I was thinking more 90s punk, like Offspring sort of stuff. Let's see how this sort of tone sounds with a split coil going on. So still in the bridge position here. Middle position. Neck. Not my sort of thing, but oranges definitely go that more fuzzy, get those doom sort of sounds going on. I'm not going to do that now with this sort of stuff because I like the high gain thing, but I definitely think this is bringing that sort of fuzz to the table. So there you go, that's a quick look at the Origin Dual Black 50 just added to STL AmpHub. If you're on a subscription like I am, they've just added it to the subscription. If you want a paid model, take a look at the website for all that sort of pricing and everything. Now, a piece of news that I can share with you now is that I am officially an STL AmpHub beta tester. Super thankful. I'm still paid up for the year. I have my old subscription that I paid for. I just reached out to them and said, hey, I really like what you guys are doing. Struck up a dialogue and I ended up becoming a beta tester for them. awesome stuff because I get to peek under the hood a little bit at what they're doing. I get early access to this kind of stuff, report bugs which get fixed up and everything. And of course, my main reason for wanting to do this is because month on month I was trying out their amps, and it's just really, really cool to be able to try this stuff out ahead of time, give them my feedback on it all, and get these videos out in time for release day for you guys as well. And you know, I'm not oblivious to the world. You know, I'm now affiliated with STL and AmpHub, so I know that it might change my perspective on things, but make sure you like and subscribe this video because I'm going to talk about that a little bit more at length in a more news related video where I just talk about all the comings and goings of stuff going on here. I'll definitely be talking about this, what it means to be a beta tester, all that sort of cool stuff. But anyway, why don't you let me know in the comments what you thought about the Dual Dark 50 or the Dual Black 50 as we call it here. I really like it. It's legitimately one of my more favorite amps. I don't know what they're doing over there. I don't get to see that much stuff going on there, but the 6505 Plus that they added, even the crank model, which normally wouldn't be my kind of amp, the crank is pretty damn good. The Orange amp, this is one of my, anything in the Orange family is definitely something that I want to check out, and I'm really, really happy with this edition. I'm happy with how that mix came out that I did in the video here. I'm already using this amp in some other projects, so the proof's in the pudding for me. I'm just a huge fan of AmpHub at this point in time. So like I said, why don't you let me know in the comments how you like everything here, and as always, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.